India sadly had no reason to doubt where it came from, because within 1 hour of the atrocity, a group called the Resistance Front had claimed credit. The Resistance Front was known for some years to be a frontal organization of the banned proscribed Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is on the US designated terror list as well as the UN sanctions committees. And India had gone to the UN Sanctions Committee with information about the Resistance Front in 2023 and in 24, and now sadly it had acted in 25. They repeated their claim the next day until, of course, global condemnation, I think, woke their handlers up to the dangers as represented, and then they deleted their claim on the third day. But by then, the claim had been made, recorded, registered, and reported. And for us, therefore, the culpability lay not just with the 4 or 5, we're not 100% sure, evil killers who came to Pahalgam and did this atrocity, but also with those who had sent them, financed them, equipped them, trained them, guided them into doing this. And since we knew where Lashkar-e-Taiba is headquartered, it has its not just a safe haven, but a rather generous 200-acre campus in a city in the heartland of Pakistani Punjab. We also knew where the responsibility lay. Sadly, Pakistan chose to follow its usual path of denial. In fact, Pakistan, with the help of China, succeeded in removing a reference to the Resistance Front from the resolution of condemnation that was drafted in the Security Council, the press statement actually, not resolution, in the Security Council of the UN 2 days later. But though the name was not mentioned, it was, as I said, a matter of public record, and we knew what was happening. India replied immediately that we would not let this go unanswered. I don't work for the government. As you know, I work for an opposition party, but I myself authored an op-ed in one of India's leading papers, the Indian Express, within a couple of days, saying the time had come to hit hard but hit smart. And I'm pleased to say that's exactly what India did. On the night of the 6th, 7th of May, it was 6th here, it was 7th for us, at 1:05 in the morning, a time chosen deliberately to avoid any risk of too many civilians wandering about or any collateral damage, very precise and calibrated strikes took place on 9 specific known terrorist bases, headquarters, and launchpads. Those included those of the Lashkar-e-Taiba in a place called Muridke, those of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the organization that is responsible, amongst other things, for the murder of Daniel Pearl, some of you knew in New York, and others, Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur, and in Muzaffarabad, which is in Pakistan, the Pakistani-occupied part of Kashmir, there were no less than 3 different terror organizations which had their bases there, Harkatul Ansar, Harkatul Mujahideen, others. And so India sent a clear message, number one, that it was not going to take terror lying down, it would answer, but equally that by delivering very precisely calculated, calibrated strikes on very specific targets, it was also sending a message that this was not meant to be the opening salvo in a protracted war, but just an act of retribution, that we were prepared to stop with that act. In other words, not just in other words, it was officially conveyed. There is a regular hotline between the 2 Directors General of Military Operations. The message was conveyed that this was the intent, that it was pointed out that no military targets, no civilian targets, and no governmental targets had been hit, not even by accident, and that the message, therefore, had been delivered exactly and precisely to the terrorists and their handlers.